I'm going to put you in some breakout rooms, and we will check back in just a few minutes.
Hey, my app stopped working last week, so it's not putting me in breakout rooms.
Oh, is it not? Huh.
Yeah, I was gonna call today, but it's been a little bit hectic. Gonna get it fixed this evening.
Let me see. You know, if I can manually put you in one, let's see.
Oh no.
Um, and it's River.
Yeah.
Hey, River. I don't. I don't know if this is going to let me do that or not. Maybe, yeah. Maybe the issue with your app. Okay.
Yeah, it's not been working for a few days now. I
Okay.
don't know what the deal is. It just stopped all of a sudden.
Well, maybe you and I can chat. What's
Yeah.
what experience, if any, do you have with meditation?
Uh, Probably the closest thing that I've ever done to meditation is like through wrestling practice.
Uh-huh.
It's like that's always been my time to like not worry about what's going on in the
And
outside world and just focus on the moment and practice.
that's interesting. And so, in what way would you say that that's sort of meditative for you?
I don't know. I feel like it gives me some time to like disconnect from everything going on and just focus on one thing.
Yeah.
It
Huh.
kind of gives my mind like a break.
Yeah.
I feel like,
It's interesting. I mean, lots of athletes actually use mindfulness practice, to kind of help them sort of manage emotion, and focus.
yeah.
Um, yeah, there's actually, I mean, I actually knew a sports psychologist at my previous institution, who did a lot of work with athletes around, you know, focusing your mind, being present in the moment, not being sort of concerned with lots of distractions that are around you, but just able to focus in on what's happening.
Yeah.
Um, and to not have, lots of different thoughts in your head at the same time. So, yeah, interesting. So, where's home for you?
I'm from Avery County, North Carolina, so like
Okay.
near Boone. It's up in
Yeah.
the mountains.
Uh-huh. Sure. Okay. Yeah, I used years ago. I lived in Madison County, which is north of Asheville.
Yeah, actually, the kid that lives with me, he's originally from Madison County too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I lived in Mars Hill.
Is that where your last institution was?
No, actually, I'm from Texas originally, but I moved out to North Carolina for
Yeah.
grad school and some other things. And so I lived there for a little while, but I came here from Fort Worth, Texas,
All right.
TCU. Yeah. Let's see how we're doing on time. Okay. All right. I want to bring everybody back in here.
All right.
Good to meet you, River.
Good to meet you too.
Okay. All right. It seems like we're Okay. Okay, we've got a lot of people here. Okay. So I'm just curious if anybody's willing to share, what did you notice in the 2 minutes? There is no right answer to this question. What did you, what, that's it. What did you notice? There's no right answer.
I noticed I would start thinking about other things, or my posture would like start falling, and then I would notice that, and then just kind of like come back to the meditating.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What else?
I noticed that I kind of got a little tired. It made me sleepy.
This is a very common thing for college students to say. You ask them to meditate because they want to go to sleep. So here's what that means. Guess what that means? This is Ashlyn. Guess what that means?
I'm probably tired.
It means you're sleep deprived. That's what that means. Yeah. But sometimes it takes something like this to because if you just stop for 2 minutes, you start to notice all sorts of things. And one of the first things you notice is, I'm sleep deprived. Anybody else?
I thought it was like an interesting experience. I've never meditated before. I mean, I definitely like was able to be out of it for a second, but I still had like regular just like thoughts of random things that came into my head. But it was like weird, just like feeling nothing and not really thinking about anything for like a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think the most common thing that we notice is how crazy our mind is. You know, it's like there's lots of different metaphors that people use for this, but one that I use is just puppy mind. Like you know how puppies are, right? They're just like that's how our minds are most of the time, but you don't really appreciate that until you try to put yourself in a position to stop it and you just notice it. One of the interesting things about meditation is you try to put yourself in the position of an observer of your own experience. And if you try to just step back and observe your own experience, you learn a lot about yourself. And one of the things you learn is that our minds are really, really crazy most of the time. Okay, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint here, and we'll just kind of continue our conversation. Are we seeing this? Can I get a thumbs up from somebody? Are we back? Okay. Thank you, Devin. Okay. Okay. So, to people's point about what should you do with your crazy mind? Okay. One thing to know is don't feel bad about that because minds think thoughts, it's what they do. So we should not be expecting your mind to do anything other than what it was doing. Okay. So another thing to think about is don't blame or judge, you just notice, right? Don't blame, don't judge, you notice. The point is you're not stopping, the point isn't to try to stop thinking. What you're doing is changing your relationship to your thoughts. Here's what usually happens with our thoughts. Usually a thought comes in and we chase it, okay? So it's like a dog chasing a car. Thought comes in, we chase it. Thought comes in about this conversation that you had yesterday that was really annoying, and then you jump on it and then you just rehearse how annoying that was. And you're like, yeah, that really was really annoying. And then you start thinking about how annoying that thing was. Or you think about that thing that really made you angry, that somebody said. The thought comes in your head, and then you start chasing it. And then it just reminds you of how angry you were. And then it kind of makes you angry all over again, right? This is what is often happening with our thoughts. And if we're still, these things will just pop in. And so instead of chasing them, which is what we want to do, you just notice them. Here's a way to think about it. Think about it as like you're sitting on the banks of a river and you're watching your thoughts float by. And so if a thought comes by, you just say to yourself, there's a thought. Or you might even say annoyance. If the thought's about how annoyed you are about something, you just notice annoyance and then you just let it go. You just watch it float down the river. And then you go back to your breath. So when you start breathing and you're kind of going along and you think, okay, I think this is going okay. In, out, here comes a thought. You notice it and let it go by, then you're back to the breath. You just go back to the breath. Okay? That's how you're managing this process of meditating. Whoops, sorry, wrong one. Okay, things to remember. We meditate as a tool to manage stress, anxiety, frustration, frenzy, and crazy emotions. And we do it by being present to our experience in the moment. And it's about learning to hold your discomfort. Right? You're sort of holding your discomfort or your anxiety or your frustration. You just sit there and hold it rather than feel like you have to do something with it or fix it or make its source go away. You observe it. And by observing it, you take the edge off. Okay. I'm going to skip this conversation, although it's an interesting one. I'll just say this. I'm not going to go into this. I'm just going to say it. And you can just think about it and sit with it. There's a difference between your mind and your brain. Most of what is driving us crazy is in our mind, because the mind is about perceptions of reality. Brain is just an organ, okay, that generates things. What we're working with are like mental structures and habits of thinking and patterns and ways of being hard on ourselves, ways of being hard on other people. Those are the kinds of things that you work with in meditation. And those are the kind of things that become apparent in meditation. You're working with your mind, which is different than your brain. Okay, so let me push you on to think about something or to consider something. Most of the time, we're trapped in what I would call our thinking mind. So thinking patterns that sort of generate stress for us often. How we think about things, the stories we tell about ourselves and the things that happen to us, those are the things that cause stress. Okay, so that third bullet point, here's one thing I want to say. What happens is what happens. Okay, it may seem obvious, but what happens is what happens. What it means is a judgment and its emotion wrapped up in a narrative or a story. Okay, so here's what I mean by all of that. You can't control the things that occur, but the labels that you attach to what occurs to you shapes what that thing means. Okay? So just start to notice the labels that you attach to things when they occur. Okay, fourth bullet point. So narratives, or the stories, it can either push you to do something new or totally drag you down. The story that you attach to the thing that happens can push you to do something new or different, or it can totally drag us down. And we do have what psychologists will sometimes call a negativity bias. That is, we really, really notice things that we don't like. And we tend to not notice things as much that give us pleasure. The reason for that is it has some evolutionary roots. I mean, you need to be able to avoid things that are really bad in order to stay alive, right? So you have to outrun a bear if it's chasing you. So you have a really strong reaction to that, and that's good. But you kind of have to know that we are strongly drawn to the things that we feel negatively about. So if we're aware of that, we can switch that around so that we don't attach as many negative stories to the things that attach to us. So here's the point. Thoughts are just thoughts. Okay? You are not your thoughts. Thoughts are what happen. And thoughts also become patterns for us. So you don't need to believe every thought that comes into your head. That's what I'm saying. So what we're doing with meditation is just trying to be more observant and less judgmental about what our minds think. Okay? The more observant we can become about our own experience, the less suffering that our minds will bring to us, and the less reactive we have to be to every little thing that occurs to us. So what we're trying to do with meditation is to create some space in between an impulse that we have and our reaction to it. Trying to create space in there so that when something happens, you can just think, wow, that's kind of weird. You can just think that rather than just immediately reacting to it. That's helpful. It's helpful to be able to do that. Okay, so we're getting close to running out of some time here. Okay, so we're going to do 2 more minutes. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing and come back to you. Okay, so we're going to do 2 more minutes. So with things that we've talked about, so feet on the floor, you're just going to focus on your breath. You might just want to say in on in breath, out on out breath. When some crazy thought comes into your head about something that happened yesterday or something that your mom said last week that totally annoys you, okay, whatever it is, just notice that the thought has come in your head, but don't chase it, okay? You just notice it and let it go. Try 2 more minutes. So here's, so I think I'll just probably leave you. I'm not going to go back to the PowerPoint. I'm just going to leave you with some thoughts. One is, if you can take, let's go with the 2 minutes. If you can do what we just did, 2 minutes, 3 times a day, I think that you will notice that over time, you're kind of in the world in a little more present kind of way. And that you can go from, on the reactivity scale, from an 8 to a 6. Because if we can just go from an 8 to a 6, I mean, that's something. That's worth the time right there. Because what we're really trying to do with this practice is alleviate unnecessary suffering that we bring upon ourselves by how we think about things. Okay? At the end of the day, that's what we're doing. So my encouragement to you would be, you can just get yourself in spaces, 2, 3, 4 minutes. If you can manage 10. Now, 10 minutes, that may seem like 10 hours to you if you tried to sit for 10 minutes. But you can easily get there. You could easily get to 10 minutes a day. And you'll get to a point where when you get in the space and you just start breathing, you will almost immediately feel better. And we already, I'll go back to my student athlete analogy. We just like intuitively know when you're getting ready to do something important. If you're about to take an important putt in golf, you're about to shoot a free throw, if you're about to give a speech in front of a group of people just intuitively will take a deep breath, right? Nobody holds their breath before they do something important, right? Not thinking, okay, this is a really important free throw. I think I'm going to hold my breath for 10 seconds before I do this. No, nobody does that. Why? Because you just intuitively know that's not going to work. So you know that breathing intentionally does something to the body. We all know that. So what I'm saying is, bring that into your life regularly on a daily basis in some kind of practice that's predictable. So maybe it's 4 minutes in the morning and 4 minutes before you go to bed, something like that. But just play with it and see what happens. Okay? Just play with it and see what happens. This practice can help you with your life as a student. I've seen it with lots and lots of students through the years, how beneficial this practice is for them. So I think I'm going to end it there. If anybody, there's a lot of people in this digital space. So I'll just say, if anybody wants to reach out to me for further conversation, I am happy to do that. My email is Terry, TERYD2 at queens.edu. Terry D2 at queens.edu. If you want to reach out, I'm happy to have a chat with you. Okay, this endeth the SLD. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
What's up, Dr. Terry?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
What's going on?
None, not much. You remember me, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Are you in a different class?
Yeah. Because
Okay.
after work, that the class before was just way too early. It was just too early, but it's still not
Oh,
really a big difference though. It's like 9:55 now, but it's a little bit better.
so it was just a time of day issue.
Yeah. It was too early because as soon as I get back home from work, it was like, okay, wake back up. So
Yeah. Well, so whose class are you in now?
I am in Dr. White's.
Oh, Zachary White. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. I'm sure you will have a good experience with him.
Yeah, I was like, man, I made a bad impression and I left. What?
Okay. Well, I'm just glad you're still at Queens. Sometimes when people drop the class,
Mhm.
it's because they decided to take the semester off,
Yeah,
or something. And so I never totally know, what happens to people. So
yeah,
I'm glad you're still with us at Queens.
yes, sir. Hopefully, when school opens up, we'll get to build a better relationship.
Yeah, come by and see me anytime.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care.
Same to you.
All right, see ya.
See ya.